In this video, I'm making a cemetery fence out of PVC pipe featuring flickering LED skull post caps, spiked pickets without needing to buy extra finials, and a taller section designed with a curved rail detail. For all sections of fence, I used 1-inch pipe for both the top and bottom rails. I used 2-inch pipe for all the posts with holes drilled for the rails to slide into. The fence pickets are a 1/2-inch pipe. Each picket is actually made of 2 pieces, a short top piece and a longer piece for the bottom. The 2 pieces join together with couplings that are glued into the top rail. The couplings allow for the fence to be easily taken apart and stored. The tall sections of fence are built using all the same types of pipe as the small sections. The only major difference is that the tall sections have a bent top rail, but that's still made from the same 1-inch PVC pipe as the other rails. I started by cutting all the pipes to length using my miter saw. There are lots of ways to cut PVC pipe, but the miter saw cut the pipes clean, square, and fast. I tried to stay at or under 36 inches for any individual part's length. At 36 inches, it allows me to easily store the pieces after the fence is disassembled, and it also helps minimize waste from the pipes. After the pipes were cut to length, I needed to drill all the holes. A little tip if you've never heard this before. To get a straight line on a pipe so that you can line up all your marks, use a piece of angle iron or something else that's 90 degrees. Set the pipe in it and trace the edge for a straight line. Once the line was drawn, I marked my holes and drilled each one. All the horizontal rails and most of the short posts are drilled straight through, while the tall posts are only drilled through one side. I used Forstner bits to drill the holes. They did a great job, but made a pretty big mess. For the top rail, I ended up with holes that a coupling could slide into, and the bottom rail with holes that lined up with the holes in the top rail and fit the 1/2-inch pipe pretty snugly. I ended up making enough for 2 tall sections and 5 short sections of fence, which was a lot of cutting and drilling for one day. Since I needed to make 2 curved rails, I figured it'd be best to start with a template. I laid the posts and bottom rail on the ground for one of the tall sections of fence with some paper under the area I wanted the top rail. I then used a sewing tape measure to create the shape I wanted. The measuring tape allowed me to make sure I wasn't using more than 48 inches of total pipe, while still being able to eyeball how it was going to look. Once I was happy with the shape, I traced the shape onto the paper as a template. After I had the template, it was just a matter of heating the 1-inch pipe until it was soft enough to shape and bending it to match the template. I used paint cans to help hold the pipe in place, both while I was bending it and while I was letting it cool. I did one bend at a time until the pipe pretty closely matched the template. The videos of me bending the pipe are actually of the second rail I bent. I used them because they were a little bit clearer. But before I bent the second rail, I actually used the first one to retrace my template. The shape I wanted was a tad too aggressive, so the pipe started to kink and I had to settle for a slightly subtler curve. To make sure the 2 rails matched and that the second rail shape was actually achievable, I traced the first rail and used that during my bends. Then I squared the fence posts back up, test fit the bent rails, and made any small adjustments needed. After the rails were shaped and trimmed to length, I squared the fence posts up again and used 1/2-inch pipe run through the bottom rail to get the proper locations on the top rail in order to drill for the couplings. Since I couldn't use my trick for drawing a straight line on the pipe, I had to lay the bent rail flat, measure halfway up the pipe, and I used the sewing tape measure as a straight edge to get a good mark for drilling. Then I clamped the pipe up and drilled at the marks. Because of the curves in the pipe, many of them were too big for a single coupling, so I had to glue some together to make longer versions. Some I trimmed with the miter saw to get the correct length, but wherever there were full couplings, I used small pieces of pipe to connect them together for added strength. Then I glued in all the couplings using the 1/2-inch pipe to hold them in place while the glue dried. While I was at it, I glued the couplings into the top rails for the shorter fence sections too. Once the solvent was dry for the bent rail, I used a Dremel to remove any sharp edges, filled any gaps with Bondo, and sanded it smooth. I made some really messy holes drilling the curved pipe, and I was hoping the Bondo would help clean it up. I'm terrible using Bondo, but it doesn't look too bad once it's painted. To make the spikes on top of the pickets, I first needed to flatten them. And since I had 35 of them to flatten, I thought I would speed things up by making a jig to do the flattening. The first thing I did was cut two 12-inch boards from an inexpensive pressure-treated fence board. Next, I made marks every 2 inches and drew a line with my speed square. Those will be the center of each pipe being flattened. On each of those marks, I measured 1/2 inch up and drew angled lines on both sides, intersecting at those points. The angle was pretty arbitrary. I think it was about 40 degrees. After drawing the lines, I had little triangles centered every 2 inches on the edge of the board. On each of those same lines, I measured 2.5 inches up and drew a line across all of them. That line marks how far I want the pipe to go into the jig. I used some finish nails as guides for the jig. I picked a drill bit that was just larger than the nail and drilled 2 holes at the line I just drew across the board. I put 2 holes per pipe, one on each side of the original lines I drew. I clamped the boards together, inserted a nail into each of the drilled holes, and hammered them into the bottom board. After the clamps are removed, you can see how the top board slides up and comes back down, guided by the nails. Finally, I used my jigsaw and cut the triangles out of the edge of the boards. Now that my jig was done, I just needed to heat up the top portion of each short piece of the pickets. Once heated, I put a little PVC cement into the ends and inserted the pipe into the jig, centered at the triangle and resting on the nails. Then I just clamped the jig tight so that it flattens the top 2.5 inches of the pipes. Just so we're clear, none of what I was doing here is good for the lungs, so I was doing this outside with a breeze, wearing a respirator. After the pipes cooled, I unclamped the jig and removed the pipes. The pipes are flat enough to cut to shape, and the triangle cutout adds a little detail to the picket. I made the jig for 5 pickets, but that didn't work out. The most I successfully used it for was 3 at a time, but I settled on 2 because it was the easiest to manage. But even though I reduced it to 2, it still made the process twice as fast. Not every pipe was perfectly straight coming out of the jig, but I corrected for that when drawing on the spike. I made a little template for the spike on a post-it note and used it to trace the shape on all the flattened pipes. Then I just used my miter saw to cut on all the lines. Don't mind my terribly unsafe technique when cutting these. It was just for these few because the camera was in the way. After the spikes were all cut, I shaped them with an orbital sander. Before I moved on, I wanted to do a trial setup to make sure everything worked the way I had planned. So I ran some rebar down the post, going through the holes I had drilled in the top and bottom rails. I only hammered the rebar in a little bit since it was just a test. Next, I connected a tall section of fence and ran pieces of rebar down both the short and the tall posts, being sure that they also went through the holes in the rails. I lightly hammered those into the ground as well. Everything fit as expected and was pretty strong considering I didn't hammer the rebar into the ground much at all, so I was pretty satisfied to move on. Now that everything was cut, drilled, shaped, and tested, I sanded the pipes slightly, put them over some rebar I pounded in the ground, and spray painted everything with a flat black paint. In between painting all the parts, I moved on to the skull post caps. I started the skull caps by drilling a 3/4 inch hole through the center of 2-inch pipe caps. I chose a 3/4 inch hole because I planned on using the posts that came with the solar lights, and that was just slightly larger than 3/4 of an inch. I thought I would drill with a slight wiggle to widen the hole, It worked for some of the holes and not others. The ones where the hole was still a little too small, I used my Dremel to widen it slightly, and at the same time I sanded off any writing on the cap. Next, I heated the plastic skulls with my heat gun and pushed the top of the skull onto the floor to flatten them. The flattened skull makes upcoming steps a little easier. After the skulls were flattened and cooled, I drilled a starter hole in the top. I used a 1.5 inch bit, but it wasn't super important what size, only that the hole was big enough to fit the light in. Next, I inserted the solar light, traced it onto the skull, and cut the hole out with scissors. Depending on how flat or domed the skull was, I sometimes had to retrace and recut to get a good fit on the light. Then I drilled a 3/4 inch hole in the bottom of the skull for the light post to fit into. While I was drilling holes in the skull, I drilled out the bottom of the jaw with a 1 inch bit, and I drilled out the eyes with a 5/8 inch bit. I followed up the eye drilling with melting the edges with a lighter and shaped it to look a little more natural. I then cleared out the nose with the Dremel and also melted and shaped that. After all the holes were drilled, I began assembling the post cap. I inserted the post into the skull and positioned it so it would hold the light at the correct position and not let it fall into the skull. I removed the light and hot glued the post into the skull. My wife had the good idea to diffuse the light in the skull instead of being able to see the LED light through the openings. I found that a white plastic shopping bag worked pretty well for this. I just ripped off pieces of the bag, fed them through the skull so they covered the eyes, nose, and came out the hole of the jaw. Then I just hot glued the bag in place. After the glued bag was cool, I positioned the PVC cap to the proper distance from the skull for gluing. I found that a PVC coupling was a good thickness, so I used that to gauge the distance. Once positioned, I glued the post into the PVC cap and let it dry. Before I put the fence up, I wanted to show how the pieces look disassembled. It may look like a lot here, but this is for 21 feet of fence, and when loaded on top of one another, almost all these pieces should fit in one storage tote. And here is most of the cemetery fence installed. I had a couple sections I installed the next day because I was undecided on which side to put it on. To install the fence, I followed the same steps as the test setup. I positioned everything and pounded rebar into the ground. This time I pounded it all the way down so the caps could fit on, and it did make the fence a lot stronger. The solar lights in the skulls charge up during the day and beginning at dusk, flicker almost all night long. There are definitely a couple things I would do differently. I would have drilled small holes in the rebar so I could loop wire through it and use it when pulling the rebar out of the posts. As it stands right now, I'm hoping to be able to wiggle them free, but even then removal will probably be a giant pain in the butt. I would also have primed the PVC and definitely the Bondo. The spray paint is supposed to be a primer and paint combined, but it never works quite as well as I hope it will. The cost breakdown is a little tricky because 10-foot pipe can't be broken down evenly for one section, so these are going to be kind of rough costs. Each 10-foot piece of PVC pipe yields about 3 pieces for each part of the fence. The only exception to that rule is for the longer pickets and the post for the tall section of the fence. So I'm dividing the cost by 3 for every piece of pipe unless they're used for the longer pieces. For each short section of fence, there are 5 half-inch PVC pickets, 5 half-inch PVC couplings, 2 1-inch PVC rails, 2 2-inch PVC posts, and 2 4-foot rebar. That's a total of $31. $41 if you count the rebar. For each tall section, there are 5 half-inch PVC pickets, 7 half-inch PVC couplings, because some of them are doubled up, 2 1-inch PVC rails, 2 2-inch PVC posts, 1 chain link post cap, and 1 10-foot rebar post. That's a total of $46, or $61 with rebar. The skull post caps are actually a pretty good deal here. I use 1 plastic skull, 1 flickering solar light, and 1 2-inch PVC cap. All totaled, that's only about $5 per post cap. The fence ended up a bit on the expensive side, but being able to break it down for storage is probably worth a few extra dollars. At least it is for me. The fence turned out really nice. It really fills out the yard and makes my cemetery entrance a lot less lonely looking. I like that the fence uses no fasteners, so I'll be able to disassemble it and store it very easily. And since it's all PVC, I don't have to worry at all about the weather hurting it. Well, it's technically pretty early in October, so maybe I still have time for a couple more decorations. This may be too much information, but I thought I'd include as many specifics about the design as I could. As for the specific dimensions, I tried to stay at or under 36 inches for any individual part's length. At 36 inches, it allows me to easily store the pieces after the fence is disassembled, and it also helps minimize waste from the pipes. The exceptions to that 36-inch rule are the tall post and a few of the taller pickets. I came up with a plan to be able to shorten and reassemble them during installation, but I thought I'd see if I can store them at full length first, since they're not very bulky and there are only a few pieces. Both horizontal rails for the short sections and the bottom rail for the tall sections are 36 inches long. The bent top rails of the tall sections also have a finished width of 36 inches, but because of the curves, they're actually made from 48-inch long pieces of pipe. The short posts are all 35.5 inches long, and all top portions of the pickets are 7.5 inches long. The bottom parts of the pickets for the short fence sections are a consistent 28 and 1/8 inches long, but the lengths for the bottom parts of the pickets on the tall sections aren't quite as easy to itemize. The lower portion of the pickets are various lengths, cut based on the final top rails since the bends can sometimes be unpredictable. To assemble the fence, I needed to drill a lot of holes. Each post has 1 3/8 inch holes drilled in them so the rails can slip in and be held together with rebar run down the posts. Both the top and bottom rails have 5/8 inch holes drilled at each end of the pipes, which actually aren't shown in the drawings. These holes are used to run rebar through to hold the fence together and secure it to the ground. The top rails have 1 1/8 inch holes to accommodate the couplings being glued in, while the bottom rails only needed 7/8 inch holes for the pipe to run through. The placement of most of the holes is really pretty arbitrary. I just located them based on what I thought looked good. The holes in the posts for the bottom rails are 4 3/16 inches on center from the ground. The post holes for the top rails on all short posts are 5 3/4 inches on center from the top of the post. And the top post holes for the tall posts are 8 inches on center from the top of the post. Finally, the holes in all of the rails for the pickets to run through are 5 5/8 inches on center, starting from the middle of the rail and working out in order to get even spacing.